Hi, what we are going to do today is we are going to look at the evaluation of vicarious liability. So this is necessary for an essay question. And as always, this is not like a full list of points that you need. You may think of really good points yourself, probably better than some of mine. If you do, always comment, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so first of all, you could mention the fact that vicarious liability is unfair on an employer if someone acts against orders or is negligent or commits a crime. How can an employer predict what someone is going to do? So I've kind of made that point. Why should the employer be liable for someone's criminal actions? So the case of Morrison's, how could Morrison's have prevented that? However, on the flip side, you could say, well, it's good. It acts as a deterrent for an employer because they have to ensure that they recruit properly, they train staff, they make sure they have strict recruitment standards and procedures in place. So although there's a deterrent value on the employer to make sure they employ the correct staff and sensible staff, you could say that there's actually no deterrent for an employee because the employee is the one who walks away from this with no consequences to their actions. The claimant has been injured, the defendant is the employer, and the employee, the tortfeasor who did the wrong thing, has no consequences. Okay, another point to think about, are you employed? Well, the employment market today is so much more complex than it used to be with all these old tests. So, for example, millions of people are on 0-hour contracts or a part of the gig economy. Are they are they employed or not? There are various court cases going through at the moment about whether you are an employee of Deliveroo or are you self-employed? It is quite difficult to establish if a person is an employee, and even the recent Supreme Court case of Barclays Bank 2020 decision said that a doctor who was hired to do pre-employment health checks was an independent contractor. So yeah, whether you agree with that or not, you can discuss that point. So the law, the fact that, just going back to that 2020 case, the law is developing, and I've put this as a good thing. I think it's good that many of the cases are recent. They are reflecting modern society. So you might have some old tests, but they are now looking at, is it akin to employment? So they are being quite flexible. Again, remember there's always that trade-off. When you have flexibility, you lack certainty. So it's good that it's developing. It does protect employers as well as claimants. A reason that vicarious liability exists, and a good thing, is that the claimant is more likely to get compensation from a company as opposed to an individual. So this gives a claimant a just and practical solution to the harm caused. What's the point of suing an individual? They're not going to have much money, and if they don't have money, the court can award what they want, but the person's just not going to pay you. So therefore, it's better to sue the company and to say that they are vicariously liable. They will probably have insurance anyway that will pay, but you, the claimant, get a more satisfactory solution. From the employer's point of view, yes, they may have insurance. Also, what they may try and do is they may try and recover that money from the employee. They may make the employee pay, although I would argue that in most cases the employee probably would be sacked. The fact that there are 3 requirements, so are you employed? Is it in the course of your employment? Is there a close connection? I think that's good. There's a certain standard that has to be proven before blame is attached. It's also common law, so undemocratic because judges are unelected, but then judges are legal experts, so maybe they are in the best position to decide upon these elements and these factors and whether somebody is vicariously liable. In terms of exam questions, what came up a few years ago was they kind of separated vicarious liability into you discussing whether it was fair, whether it acted as a deterrent, and whether it apportioned blame correctly. So try and think of those points in terms of fairness. So who who benefits from vicarious liability? Is it fair on employers? Is it fair on the employee? Does it act as a deterrence? So yes, it does for employers. I don't think it's going to act as a deterrent for an employee. So yeah, kind of link these words into an essay. And then apportionment of blame. So is blame kind of put out? Is blame in the correct place? Well, it seems that we are blaming the employer, not the employee. But yeah, you've got to weigh that up, as we said earlier, about the compensation. So if you're not going to blame the employer, then you're going to blame the employee, and what is your solution going to be? You're probably not going to get very much in damages. So it's just something to bear in mind. It's a different kind of angle that you could take on vicarious liability. And then, yeah, the Barclays case, really look at that, because that's an interesting case. Those victims have no solution now, because the doctor who performed the pre-employment health checks has died. So it seems very unfair on the many claimants that there were in that case. Okay, so that is evaluation for vicarious liability. If you have any comments, always leave them. Thank you.